but markets have actually, increased a little bit. I think we have the, CPI inflation news showing good news, and then we also have, a lot of macro things calling like Gensler talking about the rates tomorrow, like all these economic news coming in. So Bitcoin has actually been at 17,800 this past
I think
month or
I
so.
think people have been calling for 13. They're just saying it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
People are calling for 10, dude.
We're asking, is this the bottom?
Well,
Gabe,
right
what do you
now,
think? Gabe, what
ETH
do you think?
is up, like it's at 1,300 basically.
Are things bouncing?
So since the FTX went insolvent about a month and a half ago, things are up from about 15. Bitcoin is 15K, so it's been up pretty much for a month and a half straight, albeit very slightly.
But
I
it's
think
kind of leveled out though. It's kind of been levels.
So the
Well-
CPI was the news today, and then this is
people are betting on 0.5% interest rate hike
Yeah.
right now, and I
Yeah.
think that's the reason things are going up. So
So-
if that doesn't happen, I'd expect things to go right
a lot of
back
things
up.
are priced in, but what they're saying is it looks like there might be an end or a light at the end of the tunnel with the Russia-Ukraine stuff, which would be good for the macro if like the world kind of calmed down a bit.
Gas prices kind of lowered in the U.S. at
They've
least.
lowered. It appears that like people are going back to work, so we can transition to the macro, and I'll get into that. Like I always like to say, I did the master's in business where you look at the numbers of the credit card debt in the U.S. is at all-time highs. And actually, what they did is the interest rates are so high that people have to go back to work and people will work. And now it's kind of, they're saying peak inflation is over. So a lot of people are bullish, thinking that things will go down. There's a lot of companies. The biggest instance is Lululemon. Have you guys heard about how?
Yeah, they have like 80% of their stock they can't move. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So now it's kind of like the idea is nature is healing, where the things that were overpriced are going to fail.
The bubbles have all deflated.
Exactly.
The Fed's
People
like
can afford Lululemon.
People will no longer. This is the Lululemon hypothesis. When people aren't paying for overpriced stockings, and then the prices go down, like we've crossed peak inflation.
You got to give the
Yeah.
Fed a little credit. They did it without popping them. They just deflated the bubbles.
Well,
they didn't pop the bubbles.
Now, basically, what they've done is they've made the interest rates super high for middle or lower class people. So everybody who got their Biden bucks or their Trump bucks now has to go back to work. They've loaded up their credit card debt, and now the time has come where it's gonna hurt for a lot of everyday Americans. I mean, we're joking about it, but the reality is things are more expensive for people.
I paid $15 for Wendy's like a week ago. Like
would have been $5 or 10. I don't know.
Yeah, would have been 10. Would have been like at least like.
So there was a news article about someone paying $74 for 2 people to eat at Five Guys.
Yeah, what the hell? That's ridiculous.
We're kind of glazing over, and I think this is a factor of the internet generation, where the news stories come, there's constant news, and then we don't realize is that like the changes are historic, where the inflation, and this is where it gets to the macro and the business stuff, where the M2, the supply of dollars has increased. So the prices of everything are going to go up. And the people that make wages week to week and pay their bills week to week are getting screwed over.
Yeah. Even us, I mean, with a regular job, like we're like it's not like with inflation 7%, your salary increased by 7% to account for inflation.
And 7% is bullshit.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Like,
it's totally
most
weighted.
is a 5%, 3%
No,
raise.
7% is not the real inflation. The real inflation is much higher.
Well, yeah,
Particularly
but
if you're at the
in
lower end of
relation
the
to your
spectrum.
wage.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like your yearly bonus or whatever you did, you probably got like a max 5% bonus. And then now inflation is 7%. So it's like that's not even gonna cover. It's not like they raised your salary 7% to account for inflation. And even if it is 7%, it's probably higher than 7%.
I think we've set the table though. For now, we can maybe move to like